Okay, hi, hey there again, sports lovers. It's Rob here from the Unlikely Triathlete. Welcome once again to the show. Lots of cool stuff to talk about today. So yeah, my guest today is a guy who goes by the name of Stuart Walker. And I'm looking down because I made some notes on my laptop here. Can never remember the shit. Welcome to the show, Stu. So Stu is the founder and event director of World of Triathlon Live. Came across him first of all on social media, plugging his event that he's putting on for next year. And that immediately got my attention, as you guys know, as a coach, and as part of the podcast. Stuart is also an avid triathlete himself, which he's going to tell us a lot more about shortly. I met him at the T100 in London this year, which was an amazing event. Had his stand up there, and we got chatting, and our relationship has evolved slightly since then. And we'll throw some more of that in as we get down the line. So, hey, welcome, Stuart, to the Unlikely Triathlete podcast.
Rob, thank you so much. I'm absolutely honoured, to be honest, to be here. I've never actually been interviewed on a podcast before, so this is a completely new experience for me. So thank you so much.
Okay, fantastic. So that'll explain the deer in the headlights look then, right?
Yeah.
Not at all, mate. You look like an absolute natural. No, man, it's brilliant to have you on here. Now, one of the first things I say to my guests when I get them on is like almost like a caveat, like an apology, really, which I don't think is necessary, but I guess it's courtesy, right? So I had a guy I was chatting to this morning who's actually a professional athlete and a multiple world champion right now. You get a guy like that on your show, and he's like, "Who are you calling an unlikely triathlete?" Right? So I'm going along those lines. So I always say it by no ways is it any sort of a slight on you guys as athletes, but I know, and probably a lot like myself, you had your first nibble at that sport somewhere along the line, and you fell in love with it to extend to where you are now. So I guess we'll go in stages, yeah. So we'll get to the expo and everything further down the line, but from the very beginning, Stu, tell us a little bit about your life, like where you come from, just very basically. Where were you born? Where did you go to? What was the sport bug that led you on that road that I always say all roads lead to triathlon? Kick us off there and tell us what you got.
Thank you. I'm from a little town in Essex called Canvey Island. It's famous for many things, but the likes of Alan Sugar used to holiday there as a child, by all accounts. And but it's literally like the bottom of Essex. And my parents moved there from London when they got married in the 70s, and I'm firstborn child of Canvey Island for them, and it was a great place to grow up. But I always knew my kind of world was bigger than that. And I moved off at 18 and wanted to go see the world, experience different things, and just live a varied life, and have done that, and really look back on it and with great pride and everything that I've achieved. But something that I really struggled with, Rob, during my whole adult life was my weight and my health, and I yo-yoed crazily. I would lose 3 stone in like 2 months and then put 3 stone back on in a month, and that was just very, very frequent for me. And to be honest, I didn't get my health in gear really until my late 30s, and I was actually doing some voluntary work in Peru, and we went on a trek up a mountain to go and see this beautiful glacier, and the Sherpa literally had to drag me up, and I hated every second of it. Reason being was I was nearly 18 and a half stone at that point. I don't know what that is in kg anymore. I can't remember. Like
I'm starting to get used to the stone system. Yeah.
I think it's like 120 kilos. So I was well over 18 stone at the age of 38.
Wow.
And basically climbing this mountain, I wanted to take the shortcut to the bottom. To be perfectly honest with you, it was horrific. Worst physical experience of my life. But what I did was, after my trip, I came back home and decided to go to the gym. And this time I thought, right, I'm going to do it differently. Rather than kind of like cut out all the alcohol, cut out the takeaways, let's just take a slightly different thought to it. So rather than cut out, I just cut down. So I still did the things I like to do, but just cut it down a little bit, you know. And I went from 18 and a half stone at 38 to hitting my 40th birthday at the best shape of my life at 13 and a half stone. So I dropped over 5 stone in just shy of 2 years. So it was like, so 25, 30 kilos maybe.
Yeah, I think it's about 6 kilos to a stone or something thereabouts. That's a phenomenal amount of weight.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I had no idea. You know, I've spoken to you a few times. That's unbelievable, man. Sorry, carry on.
Thank you. No, thank you, man. And but I think the reason I mentioned that though is that's kind of like what kind of led me into giving triathlon a try, basically. So I wouldn't have even considered it 10 years ago. Not even close. Like the thought of running, firstly, you know, that wasn't something I did regularly. I hadn't owned a bike for about 20 years. So hit 40 my best shape at 41, realized I still couldn't swim. So a slightly different story to little Stu. I nearly drowned when I was about 8 or 9. Just in a local swimming pool, fooling around. I may have only been under the water 10 seconds. I don't know, but it felt like a lot longer, and just had this profound traumatic effect on me that I just never really wanted to go deep in the water. But go in the sea. I grew up on the Thames, go in the water regularly, but the idea of being kind of further out than being able to touch the floor, you know, or having to swim somewhere just wasn't my thing. So yeah, 41, couldn't swim. And this is why I think that from the Unlikely Triathlete, I actually genuinely relate to that. Like that is,
you tick the box.
Like I said, 10 years ago, 38-year-old Stuart he would never have been a triathlete. It's so unlikely. So it really connects with me, Rob. Thank you. So 41, couldn't swim. And I need, and with anything in life, I kind of need a little bit more than just I'm going to do that thing and learn it. You know, I need like a hard deadline, some real motivation, some real kind of consequence to it. And so I signed up doing my local triathlon, which is in Southend-on-Sea. And from the point of deciding to do it to doing it was just almost a year.
What distance was that one to?
That was a sprint. So 750 swim.
Good place to start.
5K run. Yeah, and local as well, right? So I knew where it was. I knew the location. I knew the streets and the road the run was on. You know, it's perfect. It is a beautiful part of Essex as well. But I got myself a coach who coincidentally lives one street over to me, and he's an open water swimming coach. Trained loads of triathletes. He's just open water swimming. He does like long distance open water swims, and again, that's something that I could never even comprehend really. But yeah, so he got me from not being able to swim at all to doing my first triathlon, basically. So yeah, that's the kind of me professionally, personally, background wise.
No, brilliant, man.
And in terms of sport, and
I want to go back to a few of those things before we go ahead some more. So,
sure.
You know, it's a common theme, hey, and this is exactly why I have you guys on the show, hey, Stuart. And for me, this is exactly what inspires every other person out there that I with respect, I call the ordinary person, because what I say at the end of it all is that you become, I tell people they need to be that extraordinary, ordinary person, right? Because we all just think, oh, I'm the ordinary guy. I'm just the weekend warrior. You know, you look at triathletes and they're all super dogs and they're all, you know, but they're not, man. The majority of the people out there doing that are the weekend warriors. It's the yous and me's. I mean, I am here sitting running a podcast. I'm a triathlon coach, but it doesn't make me a great triathlete. You know what I mean? But I'm out there having a go. So that's my passion is getting you guys. Now, the common theme I was referring to is there's a trigger point somewhere. Something just said to you, shit, that's enough. And for you, it was blowing out of your ass trying to get up that hill and then coming back down and absolutely just hating the experience, right? Now, where I try and get in is, one, you were able to find that catalyst on your own. Something in you just got you up and you went and you found the thing and you did it. A lot of people, and I would say more than not, struggle. They not struggle, but they don't know how to make that transition. They know something's missing. They don't need something else. And that's where this podcast comes in. Because I think if someone sits and listens to this and they listen to guys like you and some of the other people I've had on the show, they get inspired by that because they're like, hey man, I'm that guy. So you guys come on the show and you got to speak with pride about, I couldn't freaking swim, man. I nearly freaking drowned. You know, I couldn't ride a bicycle. I couldn't run. And those are the stories that get the right people in because, man, you know, I'm starting to sound like a broken record on it, but it changes your life, man. It doesn't only change your health and your welfare. It changes the way you approach the world. It changes the way you deal with the people you work with, your family. It just influences those around you. It is so contagious, man. You know, those around you aren't going to be like, oh, well, I'm off to do an Ironman race. But they'll get their asses off the couch and maybe go for a little park run, you know, and they go from there. So I just love the fact that's like the first thing that pops up and like, there's the common thread, guys. This is what we need to be paying attention to, you know. And so now you've gone out and you find that, I say, man, all roads lead to triathlon. Some people start with a little run. They got a mate who does a jog or something, but it all comes down to triathlon. There's just that attraction to it, you know. I think it's the camaraderie, the group stuff, all that kind of thing. So going back to, apart from the fact that you weren't a great runner and you struggle with your weight and you decided to sort it out. I know you said you weren't a great swimmer, but that's the other aspect of getting into these things. Triathlon is a little more complex than most people think, right? So you're a classic example because I know I want you to tell me the story now. Like, hey, what bike should I get? Do I need a wetsuit? What shoes am I going to run in, right? So without any guidance and information, not necessarily a coach, but even a mentor, where did you end up in your little swimming journey, Stu?
To be honest with you, the whole thing for me was such a minefield. I had no idea. I didn't know there was 10 different types of wetsuit. I had no idea. I didn't know what bike I should be using. No idea. I didn't know. I didn't really know about the whole tri-suit thing, to be honest with you, even to begin with. And it was, a complete minefield. So much so that I started my training in autumn. So it was around about like October time, and the race was in July. So I started my swimming training. I'd already got the bike by that point. Started my swimming training in October. So because of that, I went and bought the thickest wetsuit I could get because it was balls cold. You know, and like I'm in the Thames, and it's literally like 100 meters from my house. There's a photo just here of where I was swimming. It's the sunrise. So it was, and so I had this like ridiculously thick wetsuit, and it was fine for my training because I was only going a couple of 100 meters and just up and down, and it was picking nice calm days to do it on. But when it came to the race, the worst decision I ever made. I didn't know you can get wetsuits that are designed for swimming and especially triathlon. So my wetsuit was actually for surfing, and I had no idea. I came back after the swim. I had the worst chafing on my neck, like it just tore the skin off my neck.
Cheese grater.
Yeah, fully. But So that was my issue with the wetsuit. I had no idea what it was about.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the information, really, not readily available, and just went and bought something that was cheap and I thought worthwhile. When it came to the bike, I kind of knew that I wanted a bike that I could just go and ride anyway. But again, I'm not a cyclist, right? I hadn't owned a bike for over 20 years. So I thought I'll just go and get something that's comfortable. So I got myself a pretty cool Trek hybrid. I think it's called Dual 2, something like that's the model. Really nice, but only a couple of £100. I got it on finance, paid it off 0 interest for 12 months.
Brilliant.
Really easy. And then the running, I'd already been running by that point. I'd done a park run regularly. There's one around the corner from where I live. I'd done a few 10Ks. done a couple of Spartans as well. So I was into the running side. I had a pretty decent 5K time as well for my age. I was doing like sub 25 minutes for 5K, which I was pretty happy with. So yeah, so I knew I was going into the race. I knew for the 5K I'd be all right, but the bike was completely alien to me. When I did all my training as well, I didn't do anything that was like brick training because I had no idea what that was. Yeah. But I had no concept of should I go for a bike and then go for a run straight after? So I just segmented it. So I really had no concept really of the whole training and how to actually get good at it. But I'm okay with that because my swimming coach, because that was the one thing I knew I definitely needed help on, right? And so I needed an expert to help me out with that. And more so as well for safety point of view. I just didn't want to be going in the water unsupervised. My wife wouldn't.
You don't want to be the guy they're going to go and fetch.
No, right? And so when I met him first time around, he was like, "So Stuart, what's your goal for the triathlon?" I was like, "To survive." Right, and that was it. I didn't have a goal. I didn't have a time. I didn't have a place. Any of that. I just wanted to get through it. I like testing myself. I like putting myself through something, knowing that at the end of it, I'm going to really be proud of myself. And that's ultimately why I do it for. It's why, like I said, I've done Spartans. Anything I do, I'll come back and I'm like, proud of you, Stu. Well done. And I look in the mirror and I'm always very proud of myself. I hate going for a run. I hate going on my bike. I hate going for a swim. And hate's a strong word, by the way. And I really don't enjoy doing it. Yeah. What I really love is coming home, going, well done, Stu.
It's the reward thing.
You just ran 10K. It's pouring with rain. It's freezing cold. Be really proud of that. You've just gone on a bike ride. If you've ridden further than you've ever ridden, you should be really proud of that.
No, that's brilliant.
Swimming as well. Like the fact that, I actively push myself to go swimming. I still have very, very much a trauma about it. Like it's not one I'm over, but I just face it and then just really the proudness after is more valuable than like the anxiety of before. And that's kind of what I use to push myself through it.
Yeah, it's the fix at the end. I totally get that, man. And that kind of thing again, that just hits the nail on the head for my kind of target audience as well, because people see it immediately as a competition, and you're absolutely ideal in that you're basically competing against yourself. And that's what it's all about. No one cares. Everyone else is out there worrying about themselves. No one gives a shit about what you're doing, unless you're at the top elite end and you're trying to beat some guy. Everyone's out there, like you say, just trying to survive, just trying to get through it, And it comes back to your experience going up and down the hill. If you get into triathlon and you sign up for a race and you have an absolutely horrible experience, you're never going to go there. And I know what a good experience is. You know what it is to finish a race and have that massive sense of achievement. Hey, so if you get it all wrong to start with and you have an absolutely miserable experience, you don't want to go back, right? So, for one, I always tell people, forget about what everyone else is doing. Think about your why. Your why is that joy at the end of having achieved something. And anyone can do the easy stuff, man. Everyone's easy is relative to someone else's easy, but doing the easy stuff doesn't really accomplish anything within yourself. If you tackle something that's, is going to be hard, and I always say, try and take on something that you've maybe got 10 or 20% doubt in your mind that you can actually do it. You know what I mean? Because if it's only 10 or 20%, I can guarantee you will do it, Because I know from my experience and people I've seen, and this is why I do what I do, because I feel it's my responsibility to take that knowledge and experience and say to people, hey, if in your head you think you got a 10% chance of failing, I'm telling you that chance is probably more like 1%. Let's have a go, And when you hit that, then you start tackling things that are more like 20, 25, maybe 30%. And then you hit the mark on that one as well. You go, hey, man, I got this shit down. And you start enjoying it more and more, And then when you talk about...
I saw a really good clip yesterday on, it was TikTok or Instagram, something like that. And it's an interview with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
and I think it was on Diary of a CEO. I'm pretty certain it was. And he talks about, he's telling this story of when he was a little boy and he's having a conversation with his dad. And he said something to his dad along the lines of, I can't do that. He's like, why can't you do that? Of course you can do it. Like, you just haven't learned it yet. Right?
Yeah.
So you can't do it like this second, correct. But you just haven't learned how to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So 10 years ago, I would have said, I can't do a triathlon. But what I actually mean is, I haven't learned how to swim properly. I don't own a bike, and I haven't really run forever. Right? It's not that I can't do it. I just haven't learned those things yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're all things you can learn.
Absolutely. I have no doubt
And
anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. And I think
one of our taglines for the show is swim, bike, run for everyone.
Yeah,
right?
I love it.
And it really should be, right? Because even now, right, the thought of me doing a full iron, not a chance at the moment, right? Because I've never run that distance. I can learn it, I can train for it, and give me a couple of years, and I'll probably be able to do it. I think, I'd be able to do it. I'd be able to complete it.
No doubt.
But right this second, no, I don't.
Just haven't figured it out yet, and you still got some work to do. But it's doable, right?
But the other thing I learned only when, again, wanting to sign up for doing my first triathlon, I had no idea that there was however many different distances. I just thought I always just thought it was just Olympic distance. Firstly, because I'd watched sport. My family very much like armchair sports fans and follow very patriotic armchair sports fans as well. So we'd always watch like the Olympics and stuff. So I always thought that was the distance. But then talking to friends and stuff about doing a triathlon, they're like, oh my God, you're doing an Ironman. I'm like, no, I can't even swim. I'm not there yet. I'm going to do a sprint. And what's that?
Yeah.
And then you kind of talk to, I could probably do that. Yes, you probably could. Right. But because they're thinking, it's a 3 mile swim, whatever it is.
Yeah. Immediately it's a write-off.
Yeah. Right. And that for me right now, still the idea of swimming more than a kilometre is really daunting. But
it's a long way. I don't think people realize how far it actually is. Even now when I swim, and obviously I've done a handful of races now, at all the distances, the long and the middle distance races. Even now, when you get in the water after a long time and you got to swim that 3.8 kilometers, man, it just never seems to end. Even when you're fit and healthy and good to go, you look up and you go, what? I haven't hit the first marker yet. Jeez, like from the beach, it looks okay. When you're in the water, man, it just never ends. You just got to kind of put your head down and keep going.
I came stone last in the swim of my first triathlon, but it was pretty brutal. Like, it was tidal,
yeah,
so it was like on the Thames estuary, and it was just like an up and down on the swim, a real tiny loop, and it was 375 meters one way, turn around, a buoy, 375 meters back. It took me 45 minutes to go one direction, 10 minutes to come back because the tide was that strong. And it was to the point where even the marshals were saying, like, just skip it, just cut it short and go back. And I'm like, no, you told me it was 750 meters. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And my neck hated me for weeks afterwards.
No,
but I didn't even know about things like lube, and putting that on. I didn't have no concept of that.
Always use lube, man. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, I do now. Tried and tested all of them. But I'd say, like, the one thing though, from kind of going back to your question about like the gear and everything, that again, that and also that point you mentioned about kind of comparing yourself to other people. You are only racing yourself, right? That is it. Ultimately, you're racing yourself when it comes to these things, and that doesn't matter whether it's triathlon or any other race, really. Like, again, unless you're at that elite level. So if you're racing yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody else is using. And I saw, and still to this day, it's one of my favorite things I've seen from any triathlon I've done on the bike. And this goes into like the Essex countryside on that first race. a lady was riding a bike that had a basket on the front of it. And I thought that was beautiful. I'm like, yes, that needs to be celebrated. Like, more people need to know that it's okay to do a triathlon with a basket on your bike. You don't have to be in like the T. You don't have to have a cockpit TT position.
100%, man. And all that room for that nutrition as well. You know what? I was at the T100 that earlier in the year. I was standing there watching the cyclist.
Basket, though, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing. You should have had loads of nutrition in there.
Yeah, there was a guy riding what I call an Amsterdam bike. You know, just like a commuter's bike. Go to the shops.
The upright. Yeah,
there was a guy in the T100 in London using that, and I just said to my wife, I said, that guy's my hero, because he just doesn't care, you know, and he doesn't care what anyone else said, and he was flying along with the rest of them. You know what I mean? And that's we got to get that stigma out of people's minds. You got to look the part to be the part. It's absolute nonsense, you know. So again, it's one of the things I tend to repeat, and it sort of reassures me, because it comes up with all the different guests and people that I speak to on the Unlikely Triathlete, is that it's not. I try to convince people to say, don't ask yourselves the question, can I do a triathlon? Ask yourself, how can I do a triathlon? Can I afford a bike, or how can I afford a bike? Like there you said, you bought a cheapie. It worked perfectly well for you. You paid it off, no interest. There's right to work schemes, all that kind of stuff. To me, excuses come in all kinds of shapes and sizes, you know, and we get quite creative in making those excuses for ourselves. But at the end of the day, if we're brutally honest, we can get around most things. And the things we can't get around or struggle to get around, there is a coach or a mentor or someone out there whose video you'll watch or something you'll see that will get you around that obstacle. You know, to me, honestly, there is no excuse. We just got to learn to work our way around those, you know. And you've got that driven mindset, like, damn you, you ain't stopping me till I'm done, you know.
Yeah. Once I start it, like I won't stop. Like,
there's no stopping.
There is, like, cause I think I just set myself a goal, and I'm very determined and dogged on that. Sometimes I'm previous, I probably should have stopped, but yeah, but then when it comes to triathlon, yeah, I know I've done enough training. I know I've got a good enough base of fitness that I can do it. But then I've seen people that, on face value, probably don't look like they'd be able to do one, and good on like you, and they grind it out. And
out there kicking ass and taking names,
again,
man.
You're racing yourself and super proud of yourself at the end of the race, and that's just phenomenal. And I want to celebrate that, and more people to do it, because nobody looks like the elite athletes.
It's such a great feeling, eh? Such a great feeling, man. And also, you know, like, I find myself actually choosing my words a bit better now, especially when I'm working with athletes that I'm coaching, is that I tend not to say race, you know. I'm taking part in a race, or I'm racing this weekend. You know, I'm participating in an Ironman event, or I'm participating in a 70.3, because then in my head already, I'm not competing against anyone. This is just me against the water, the bike, the run, the wind, you know, whatever that kind of thing is. So sometimes it's a little bit of a mindset thing like that, you know. I wanted to touch on also what you were saying about the hate factor. I get it, you know. But that in itself, hey, is, I don't really know how to explain it, but David Goggins, for example, he's a classic one for saying, what does he say? You've got to do at least once a day. Sorry, every day you need to do at least one thing that you absolutely fucking hate. Every day you need to do one thing you absolutely hate, right? Because what it does is it calluses the mind, and I really love that expression. You know, it calluses the mind, and it calluses that mind of yours for race day, because the reward at the end of it is, well, as you know. And, you know, people go, well, okay, what do I really hate doing? You know, I hate taking my medicine, whatever. But one of the ones I say to people, hey, if you really want to have a go at doing something you hate, start off with those cold showers. That's my favorite. And people hate me for it, because they go home and they go, shit, I should have this cold shower. And I've given them the talk, man, and they know they can't get out of it now. They're going to have this damn cold shower. And you know how often they message me back and say, you know what, you bastard, I actually had that cold shower because I would have been too guilty not to, and it was fucking horrible. But afterwards, I felt amazing.
Yeah.
You know what?
Exactly, right?
And that is
the same thing. That's why I force myself to go for a run. I come back and I feel incredible.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, you know. And again, that comes on the mental health side of things as well. And my wife is really good like that, you know. She's put up with my shit for a good 34 years now. But she knows, and I it's something I've struggled with for many years to talk about, but in more recent times, especially in this kind of position and platform now, I feel again it's my responsibility. I'm a guy who suffered from mental health issues and still do. I've learned to manage it. I medicate as and when or if I need to. But I found that sport, and particularly the endurance stuff, I get such a high out of it. When I'm training for a race, hey, Stu, when I've paid up and I've signed up, hey, there is nothing that makes me feel better than training. Because one, I've paid the money, so getting out of bed in the morning is no issue for me. I get up and I train and I go balls to the walls and I work hard. The natural endorphins and the high that I get from that is so good that I tend to go off medication. And it's absolutely brilliant. And my wife will say to me, hey, babe, why don't you go for a run or go for a ride or have a little open water swim? And I go, but I tell you what, I get out there and it just, there is nothing like it, man. And that's why I say, when it comes down to something like this, if you can encourage people just to stand up off that couch and put that one foot out the door, it's a start. Because from there, it just snowballs, man, and it grows exponentially. Your mindset changes, your health changes, you lose that weight that you never thought you could. And all of a sudden, you're taking on things that just people don't believe you were ever capable of, and that inspires them. And then they take a toe out the door, It's just, we make the world a better place, Stu and I, and that's no cliche or anything. It's like my passion, man. People are getting better within themselves. They're making people around them better. And that again is contagious, We're only making the world a better place. So, hey, all roads lead to triathlon, man. Let's do that shit.
Definitely. So I think similarly on the, I at the time, I think I never really thought I had a mental health issue going back like 10 years, but reality was I did. Because the reason I got to being over 18 stone in the first place is if I had a good day at work, I'd go out for a 3-course meal and a bottle of wine to celebrate. I was a single guy. If I had a bad day at work, I'd go out and I'd eat a 6-box of chicken, portion of fries, and drink a bunch of beers. But what I'm doing is I'm kind of like, I think I'm rewarding myself and like trying to cheer myself up. But ultimately, my body's just getting the same thing, right? It's just too many calories, loads of fat, loads of unhealthy like scenarios. And my body didn't know that. But I was actually just trying to get these dopamine fixes right in my brain. But it's all I did was instantly I just stopped, trying to cheer myself up with the bad things, like the bad foods, and still reward myself on the good times. So that's how I managed to do that kind of cut down, not out scenario. Because I think the reason why I yo-yoed when I tried to lose weight was I'd cut out all the things I really love, chocolate, beer, pizza, ice cream. And I cut them out. And then after a month, all you're doing is craving those things you really love. Whereas if I just had 1 bar of chocolate a week rather than 7, right? Or 1 pizza a fortnight rather than 4, then instantly you're in a better place. And there's no surprise that a healthy, I don't want to say diet, healthy lifestyle will lead to a healthy brain as well, right? And that's just it didn't surprise me once I figured that out. Again, every now and again, there's still some waves of up and down from a mental health position, but that's part of what being human is. Like you can't be constantly high, and in a good place, happy wise. Again, this is something else that somebody much smarter than me once said, and I want to say it was on a Jay Shetty interview, and he's interviewing this guy who's a Buddhist monk who's also like a kind of professional development guru, and he's asking this Buddhist monk, he's like, well, what makes you happy? He's like, why should I focus on being happy? Happy is just a feeling. Feelings come and go, right? Because if I'm focused on what makes me happy, then at some point I've also means by definition I'm going to be sad. So once you make peace with the fact that some days you're happy, some days you're sad, you're then at peace. So this guy focuses more on being at peace than he does at being happy.
Yeah.
And I think that completely changed my outlook on life. I'll have periods where ultimately I'm not that happy, maybe a little sad, maybe very sad, but I'm still at peace because I've got a
what's coming.
wife, I've got a great heart, I've got an amazing house, I'm running my own business now. I'm chasing my passions. All these things. I've got beautiful family. All these things that ultimately that I wanted or want from life. I always thought to be happy. It wasn't. It's to be at peace. You wake up every day and you're at peace, man. Your world is so much better. Whereas if you try to focus on being happy, you're just constantly chasing that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And that can lead to binge eating a 6 bucket of chicken.
I think
ultimately what that can be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of wisdom in that, Stu. Absolutely a lot of wisdom in that. And I think what I pull out of that is extremes, and I think that's probably what a lot of people struggle with, There's two things I pick up there. So one is, as you say, it's the extremes, You're cutting it all out altogether and then you give up on it and then you're throwing it all back in. And I don't think anyone's body kind of likes that much of an extreme, separation. And the other thing is as well, like you say, you're rewarding yourself. So it's almost like you're justifying a good day. Okay, I can have the pizza and the wine and all that kind of stuff. And then you're justifying, well, at a shit day, I'll be okay. I'm allowed to eat the shitty stuff, And I really like the idea because I've come across that a few times where you say, well, you don't got to stop everything all at once. You just got to moderate it and cut it out. And I mean, my simple tool for that, I went full keto a number of years ago. I'm not anymore, but it really, really made a huge difference in my life. And I think it was just the discipline of it. I've now found something in between because I'm always experimenting with my nutrition. And I agree with you on diet. I hate that word diet because people immediately attach it to something as stigmatized, But it's a way of eating.
It's just short term as well, right? Yeah. That's the thing with diet. It's like crash diet or keto. It's just a short term thing.
No, you've got to.
It should be lifestyle.
People think diet for losing weight. They don't think diet for just, hey, be healthy and be sensible. So I used to go. I'd have my naughties on like a week. So I'd call it carb Saturdays. So Saturday come around, or I'd set myself incentive. So out of interest, and I like a drink as much as the next guy, but it's never been an issue for me. So that's not the reason at all. But I've set myself the incentive now. Just again, it's the callousing the mind thing, because we're a very social family. My wife and I are foodies. We love cooking. We love good wine, right? So nothing harder for me than to not have alcohol, not drinking the wine or the beer or a good whiskey when everyone else is socializing, having a good time. That's tough, man. So like I'm going to callous my mind. So I've told myself that I can't have another drink of alcohol until I qualify for World Championships. I may never drink against you, but that's some incentive right there, And I think if people take that sort of approach, on like set yourself the targets, give yourself some incentives, give yourself reward, but it's moderated, because I think you start seeing the benefits of that instead of going and having the dinner and the wine or the dinner and the pizzas and the beers for that good or bad day you had. Go out for a run. When you get back from the run, have a cold shower and then have a beer. You know what I mean? That beer is going to be so much sweeter, man. And the effect of that beer is not going to be half as bad as it was if you'd just gone straight to 3 or 4 beers.
Right, and I think that's the whole kind of Goggins thing as well, right?
Yeah.
It's much harder to go for a run than it is to not go for a run. So why would you default? Why would you not?
Apparently,
just stay at home, right, in your pajamas.
Yeah. Apparently, if you speak to the gurus, it's like it's an ancient built-in survival mechanism, right? We pick the easy route all the time. That's what keeps us. We stay in the cave where the fire is, we're warm and we're okay. If we step outside, we're going to get eaten by the bear or the saber-toothed tiger, So we're always picking the safer option, But hey, man, you know what, Stu? I've only spoken with you a few times and we've met a few times now, hey, and I just feel really like I'm so proud of you, man. I really am, and I mean that from my heart, man, dude. I'm like, because from when I met you, I've seen nothing but energy, and you got this big fucking cheesy grin on your face all the time. If you didn't have ears, the top off your freaking head would fall off. You know what I mean? And that in itself is contagious, man. And you, I didn't know you before that, and I didn't know you when you were overweight and you decided to change your life. Hey, but I can almost visualize it. not only because you've described it really well, but because you're another one of those ordinary people out there that is just living the same kind of life. And that is the importance. And I'll say it, it's your responsibility now, as I say, it is mine, who've walked that road, to say to other people, hey, this shit works, man, and it's cool, and you're going to love it, and you're never going to look back, you know? So having said that, I'm going to ask you to give it some context for the next question I want to ask you. So you discovered sport, triathlon, you fell in love with triathlon, I know, because we've spoken about this a few times. So how many triathlons have you done in total now? A couple of distances or?
Yeah, so it's been six races in the last 2 years now, and I've done a couple of duathlons,
Okay.
a couple of sprints.
And there's a few runs and things in between.
Yeah, I still I still do Spartans. I like one of the things I love about, just from doing a triathlon point of view, is because it seems really tough, right? Like, again, that's the kind of outside perception of it.
Yeah.
So I like doing the things that are a bit more varied anyway. So just going for a swim, a bike, or run, that for a long period doesn't inspire me. I need it to be a little bit more than that, just from personal kicks point of view. So I love doing the triathlons, and it, like, something that's a couple of hours long, nice and varied. That just kind of suits my brain, you know.
Yeah.
So because of that, I do a bunch of Spartans. I've done all the Spartan trifectas in England.
What does a Spartan entail?
So Spartans obstacle course racing.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of them. They do a 20k, a 10k, and a 5k. And I forget exactly the volume of obstacles in all of them. But I think the 20k is like 30 or 35 obstacles. The 10k is like 25, and the 5k is like 20, something like that. And you can do them individual races over a weekend, or you can do all three of them in the same weekend, and it works out, it's just shy of a marathon distance wise.
Okay.
But it's super grueling. It's really tough, really muddy. You're climbing over stuff, you're climbing through stuff, you're getting wet, you're running up hills, you're carrying, like, one of them was like, you're carrying these chains. They're like 30-kilo chains you got them around your shoulders. And it's pretty tough. Again, though, it's something that's all relative. So anybody can do them. You just have a lighter weight, or you just don't have to carry the weight. I like being outside. I like the challenge of it. So I've done the trifecta each year for the last 3 years. I also like doing the high rocks, although it didn't like me the last time. I wasn't in very good shape. I hadn't trained for the last high rocks I'd done.
I'll tell you what it sounds like, Stu. You sound like a kid in a candy store. You can't help yourself. You're into all this shit, man. And you put it in front of you, you're going to do it, right?
Yeah, I just like trying it. I CrossFit. I did CrossFit for a couple of years. Took part in the CrossFit Open a few times, but I just like doing things again. If the harder it is, the more proud of myself I'm going to be afterwards, right? And again, it's relative in terms of how hard it is, right? So like the first time I did high rocks was way easier than the second time I did high rocks. It was because the first time I trained for it, but the second time I was more proud of myself for completing it. But I was not in the condition that I should have been in to be able to do it in the first one. For the pace I was going, again, I could have walked and took it slower, but I was trying to go for a PB, and I didn't get it. So I like just kind of doing that variety of things. But then with triathlon, I almost wanted to do kind of like some of the bucket list ones. Or not bucket list, the ones that people recommend, you know. So when you get into it, the amount of people say, oh, you got to do Hever Castle, you got to do Dorney, you got to do Windsor, you got to do Blenheim. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm writing all these down. I'm going to just tick all of them off, you know. So I've done a bunch of them in the UK, and I think you actually mentioned it like right at the beginning of the call about triathlon. That my favourite thing from the very first one was the camaraderie. Yeah. And like you're there racking up your gear and your bike, and the person's next to you, and I'll talk to anybody. Yeah. And then they're kind of looking at you. You've both got this kind of similar like fear, panic look, not really knowing have you forgotten anything, have you got enough lube on your neck, all this sort
Yeah.
of stuff. And then just kind of building up that camaraderie and chatting to people, and I love that.
Then, I'm chuckling. Sorry, I cut you in there. I've stood at the start line before, and I'm obviously a bit more cocky now because I've done a handful of races, right? And I see all these guys, and there's lots of first timers, there's lots of nervous people, and I can tend to be an idiot at the best of times, right? So I'll be looking at a guy and he's got this focus, and he's got the fear of God in his eyes, and I'll look at him and say, "I'm gonna kick your fucking ass, man." And
was you the guy that was dancing at the front line of the Ironman last week? Was that
the shock and horror in the guy's face, and then you pack up laughing. He's like, "Okay, well, that kind of breaks the ice," and then everyone chills out, and then we're off for a race again. You know what I mean? But it is, man. And the crowds, the people around you participating, and the crowds, man, they'll get you through anything. Your eyes will be bleeding and your legs will be broken, and they will get you through a race.
My background's events, right? I've worked in exhibitions and events for 15 years. Yeah. So I love events. I love anything that kind of like brings people together to a single destination, and what it is about that inspires people to want to come along. So the event organization, even my local one, it was run by a triathlon club, and amazing, like so well executed.
Yeah.
The volunteers that are involved in it all, and it was brilliantly run.
So that's where I was going with that whole questioning thing. So first of all, the obstacle course stuff is always really cool. It's sounds a little bit too familiar to my army days, basic training. So maybe that's why I've avoided that for a while. It's a lot like that, isn't it?
You probably get some PTSD from it. I'm sure. Yeah. It's the only thing close enough that I think.
Like, maybe one day when I've
never tough enough to get into the military or almost I just didn't like.
Well, we didn't have much choice back in the day. It was conscription, but it was good. Sure,
I bet.
It was good, but we maybe one day when I finally get that qualifying slot at World Champs and I go, then maybe I'll change my direction a bit. So I want to get into sort of the end here, Stu. So where all that questioning there. So clearly what I'm trying to paint is a picture of you're just a guy who's passionate for a mixed bag of things to do with sport, to do with people, like you just said yourself. And of course, your background, as you said, is in events. And this is what I find so incredible about yourself and your story, is that not only have you come from the perspective of, from a, how do I put it? You've come as an unlikely triathlete, you've taken on triathlon, and you've taken on all this stuff. And then on top of that, you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to put together a show about triathlon. I don't know shit about triathlon, but watch me do this. And that just blows my mind. I think it's freaking amazing. So tell us where that decision came to you. Probably doom scrolling on the shitter or something like that. But
almost. I think the kind of the why very much starts from my own personal experience. So I knew from day one that getting into triathlon was really difficult in terms of that marketplace, understanding what product I need, what gear I need, what's right, what's wrong, what's expensive, what's cheap, all that stuff, right? So that, as a consumer, I knew there was a complex marketplace. The other thing, mate, really, to be honest with you, was across all the races I did, most people look like me. And I thought that was a real shame. And then there was the other part, was that the amount of times I spoke to people about doing a triathlon, everybody had this kind of real perceived barrier of entry. So most people instantly thought it was an Ironman. So the barrier of entry is the distance, right, and the training for it. Other people was like, oh, it's really expensive, so it's a cost barrier, and there was all these different things. And really, there isn't, like, it doesn't have to be. I've been fortunate enough since launching the show, I've got and interviewed triathletes of all different walks of life. And one guy I met at Leeds, he was a young lad. I reckon he was probably 20 years old. He'd borrowed a bike, bought a tri-suit for 30 quid, bought a second-hand wetsuit, and what was his other thing? Oh yeah, his cleats were second-hand as well. He apart from his race entry, he reckoned he spent about £150 on everything. right? And that stuff he could use for as long as he could fit in it. I think he still had a little bit of growing to do, to be honest. He was that young, but
Yeah.
like he could have had that for a long time. So I wanted, yeah. So as a consumer, the challenge of the marketplace, and then this barrier of entry, and the fact that everybody looked like me, and I'm kind of one of these people that I always think I kind of walk around my eyes wide open. You know, I definitely got a smile on my face, but my eyes are always really wide open, and I'm always paying attention. And it's amazing what happens to you when you pay attention. By the way, like opportunities and things come about.
100%.
And so, from a life point of view, that's kind of something I've always subscribed to. The other thing I subscribe to is 220 Triathlon magazine, and I'm not going to lie, I've got them on my desk.
Yeah, so do I.
Like I got all like I've got another pile over there, and I've subscribed to them not long after I think it was after I did my first one, and I'd read it. I'm like, okay, cool. All the training notes, the advice, the gear, brilliant. Really kind of absorb myself in it. And then this time last year, and I actually have it on my desk here, there was an interview. So this is October. Yeah, October last year. There's an interview of the new CEO at the time of British Triathlon Federation, Ruth Daniels. And in her interview, she talks about wanting to make the sport more inclusive, more diverse, and improving access. I was like, well, that's what I've been saying. Like, what? Yeah. Like, that's exactly what I needed. That was the epiphany I needed. And I've been fortunate enough that, from a work point of view, professionally, I'd launched a couple of trade shows that have gone on to do really well for other people. I didn't launch them for myself, but for other people. I'd run a really big consumer show for a number of years that was super successful. And timing-wise, professionally, I was in the right place to be able to launch my own exhibition. And I always knew at some point I would. So professionally, I was ready for it. You know, got the experience of I'd run commercial teams, launch shows, got them off the ground. I've now got this passion of triathlon, and I'm very much a triathlete and in the sport and a consumer of it. And I just combined the two, put my passion with my profession, and put together a business plan. Spent months working on it. Took it to a load of people I'd respect and admire within the exhibition industry. A few mentors. Got them to pick it apart. You know, find some holes. You know, tell me what I need to do differently. Worked on it for just over 6 months, and then first week of April this year, went to market with it and announced it to the world. And that's World of Triathlon Live. That's how that came about. And ultimately, I just, in the most part, put myself in the key kind of, as a triathlete, not my demographic, but as a triathlete, put myself in the, well, what would I want from a show? So I'd want to see some of the most innovative gear in the marketplace. I want to see some of the top brands. I also want to see some of the challenger brands and the stuff you're not going to find elsewhere. You know,
the affordable stuff,
but then also the more affordable stuff. So I put together a show that, so as a mix of exhibitors, it covers all of those brackets, along with other things that are happening at the exhibition. But ultimately, what I'm doing is I'm just taking my wealth of experience from an exhibition professional point of view, and I've probably been to over 100 expos of different industries as well. So I know what I like, what I don't like, what I think works, what I think doesn't work, and just kind of taking that and creating what I believe to be an optimum exhibition for the sport and the industry. Really, you know, it's more than a sport. There's so much going into it. Because I really believe from a exhibition point of view in an industry that it has a real impact on what it's doing. So yes, part of the motivation is for the consumer to be able to get access to the marketplace, but it can have a massive impact on policy, campaigning for change, recruitment, brands, retail, all these different things. It has a real impact and
100%.
within the sport, within the industry, and ultimately we want to get more people into the sport by making it more inclusive and diverse.
Yeah, that's what it's all about for me, is getting people involved. Man, dude, I can't think of a better cocktail than that. It's exactly that. It's kind of where I'm in my life at the moment as well. I've taken my professional and my passion and I've put them together, and it's got nothing to do with my professional world. And from what I've seen so far, man, you're bang on, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's the first of its kind we're going to have in the UK.
There have been incarnations of triathlon shows before, yeah, and I've met the people that owned them and ran them. There hasn't been one since 2019. Okay. So yeah, there was a couple different locations. Always did really well. The feedback and triathletes.
Yeah, so I believe you're onto a solid thing there. And I tell you what, and I say it again with respect, because obviously I'm living in the UK now 6 years, but I've come from South Africa, and even a guy who's involved in triathlon, I find it quite difficult to find the things I want to find that I know I can get elsewhere. Because I spend a bit of time in the States as well, so I know what's available in the States. You click your computer and there's a dozen options to be at your door this afternoon, and in South Africa it's not quite the same. You've got to go out and get it, but it being more of a sport outdoor-based country, it was a lot easier to get access to a really good range of stuff, and I've found, I don't know if I'm just knocking on the wrong doors, but that in itself, I think, tells a story that I struggle to find a lot of the things I'm looking for. And I think where your expo is going to really hit the mark is, I believe we'll get the audience beforehand, and we'll get those people turn up, because there's a massive interest in it now. And I think the UK spoke to someone the other day talking about coaching. I think it's the third largest market in the world after the US and Germany for triathlon, and I think it does need more exposure.
114,000 people Brits did a triathlon last year, according to the Triathlon Industry Alliance research, and that's a huge amount. It's less than the year before, but it's still a huge amount. But you go back to 2015, 2016, that kind of post London Olympics, when the brownies were Ali Brownie in particular was peaking. It was serious numbers of people taking part in triathlon, and that's why I think having a space where, so that ultimately the show itself will appeal to two different pots of people. One being triathletes, so dedicated, they're into the sport, they subscribe to the magazines, the newsletters, they regularly compete, they may be age groupers, but they may travel the world, do different distances, but they are triathletes and they're in the community. The other half is that we're doing a huge amount of work making the show appealing to swimmers, cyclists and runners, because from research we know that something like 56% of people that get into triathlon were originally runners. So if we can do some work encouraging more of those runners just to come and have a look, we refer to them as tri-curious, just so they want to come in and see some brands, because there'll still be brands that some of them are aware of, they, some of the, especially some of the swimming brands, they're household names already. It's just they specialize in a product for triathlon.
And I think it's a great venue as well. I think the venue is pretty well picked as well. I think that'll get a lot of people there. Yeah,
XL made sense to us because it's where T100 is anyway later on in the year, so it's already got a connection to the sport, and as well from that point of view, population wise, getting more people into it. 1.4 million people ride a bike a day in London, and the number for runners in London's nuts, and swimmers is crazy. So it's from an opportunity point of view of encouraging more people to the sport.
It's just putting the two together, man.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah,
just getting it. They're all there. We just got to get them together, Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic,
so because
man.
Of that, the goal is 10,000 people across 2 days. It's the 28th and 29th of March.
That's brilliant, Stu. Well, as you know, we've already had our chat last week, so I've signed up for a stand there with my coaching business that we're going to be bringing along, Wingman. And I've put my application in. With a bit of luck, you'll get me to stand up and talk some shit on a stage for 30 or 40 minutes.
You'll be on stage. Yes, that's the. Thank you. And again, thank you for your vote of confidence on it. The Multi-Sport Academy is where our education, like workshops and presentations and things like that all happen. And there's a whole bunch of coaches and experts getting up on this. So you're going to be amongst good people. We got the T100 lead pro mechanic on stage. We've got an Olympic silver medalist who's now an open water swimming coach. Ironman U coaches, other kind of swimming disciplines. So yeah, it's going to be a stellar lineup.
I'm excited for it, Stu. I really am. To the extent that I'm already talking about it on my little social media platforms, and I'm certainly going to push it through the podcast because it's something I genuinely believe in. And it's not all about making money and stuff like that. Because we get people involved, man. I believe strongly in what you're doing, and you got 100% my support, and I appreciate you signing me up on that one as well. So what we will do as well. Carry on.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say, because it is, although we've been talking about brands and you're as a coach, right? So there's going to be coaches exhibiting there. There's also going to be the race organisers as well, right? So it's really going to be an opportunity for anybody that's interested into triathlon or already a triathlete to come and meet the people like yourself, behind the brands, So you want to come and meet the people that run some of the best races in the world.
Yeah,
come and have a chat to them.
Hey, chat to people, get together. Yeah, collaborate. Training camps.
You want to come find out about the new latest gizmos on bikes and everything. Yeah, it will be there. There's so much to it. On top of the fact we're speaking to some pretty big names of the sport already. So Team GB, Paralympics GB, some pro athletes. No
doubt.
They're all to be announced. So I don't want to give any spoilers away, but no doubt it's going to be awesome. Lineup there as well.
I'm going to be there, right? So hey, come along.
It's worth the £5 ticket.
Yeah. No, man, I'm really excited about that, and I'm looking forward to that. Stu, one last thing from yourself. I'll tell you what we'll do beforehand as well is I'm definitely going to get some info from you, and we'll put it down in the show notes in the link. So when this episode launches, it's going to drive people in that direction. So I'll get that stuff from you in the week, and we'll make sure it's all in there. So anyone who's followed along and goes, hey man, I want some of that, they know who to get a hold of. So we'll put that in there. But
and if any of your viewers are members of a triathlon club in the UK, they're entitled to a free ticket.
Okay,
they just got
brilliant.
They will be getting emailed. We're emailing. We've actually written to all of them, old school, in the post. We're also going to be emailing them all, so they'll all have email of discount codes. But just in case anybody sees it and they've missed the email, they can just get in contact with me on the website.
Okay, final question for you, and one line answer. I can't swim. I'm never going to be able to swim. Should I be taking on a triathlon?
Yes, you can. You just got to learn. There's a triathlon for everybody.
Yeah. Just got to figure out, and who better to say that than yourself. Stu, you've been amazing because you've been brutally honest and proudly honest about your struggles in getting to where you are. And I have no doubt that having you here today is going to reach a lot of good ears, man. And people are going to go, okay, I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to listen to this dude, and I'm going to take some stuff on. And that's what the show is all about, man. It's not about me. I just want to try find people like you guys to inspire all those other people to get off their asses and have a go, man. You're going to love it, and your life's going to change, So, Stu, I appreciate that, man. I absolutely appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to taking part in the show. I know we're going to chat a lot more between now and then. And wow, man, as I say to everybody, never stop moving, and all the best of luck to you guys over there with your show.
Thank you, man. It's been an absolute honor.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And then, of course, to all our viewers, that's another wrap-up for another episode. Thanks for watching again. And, of course, like, share, all that good stuff again. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, man. And spread the love. The more people we influence, the better place this world's going to be. Never stop moving, guys. Take care till next time.